Yes, it's Victory Monday, but unfortunately, the Cleveland Browns have some more bad news on the injury front. We'll get to all that. Monday Aftermath on Locked On Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound, LGB, and the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, and I appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. If you are not part of the Locked On Browns everyday crowd, we'll get a new plan stand and join and subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcast. Download the Gametime app. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Cleveland Browns, obviously Victory Monday. Coach Kevin Stefanski takes to his presser. And Dawand Jones did not play yesterday. As we all know, there was word of a re-aggravation of his knee injury in Friday's practice. Well, we don't know the full extent of it, but Dawand Jones, Big Thanos, is going to be out for the season as he now needs surgery. Makes you think, obviously, some sort of torn ligament, something of that such. Cleveland Browns will be starting. Hey, if you start four quarterbacks, you might as well end up with a third first string right tackle. Jack Conklin injured week 1. Dawand Jones injured Friday right before the week 14 game. His season now over as well. Wyatt Teller actually spoke today. He was one of the Browns players that took to the media and expressed his sadness. And, obviously, where his thoughts are, had nothing but positives to speak about, Dawand, his play, his commitment, and, a guy as a rookie, 4th-round pick was doing in a really, really bad situation and just took the opportunity and ran with it, got better, played excellent for this team. Future's bright for the Cleveland Browns and certainly for Dawand Jones, but sadly for Dawand Jones, 2023 is now over. Also, keep in mind, when we're going to start to talk about injuries here now, when you go on IR, it's 4 weeks. So for the Browns, this opportunity at IR here it's dwindling away fast. Yes, you can come back within the playoffs, but any Browns player, and this might apply to Grant Delpit. I'm not going to spill the beans, obviously, because it was behind a paywall, but Grant Delpit injured. But any player on the Browns possibly headed to injured reserve right now means your regular season is over. You can return for the playoffs. That is certainly possible. But any Cleveland Browns player that's going on R right now, minimum, the 2023 regular season is over. As we know, some other players left yesterday's game. Juan Thornhill, Grant Delpit. The news on Jerome Ford where the x-rays were negative, which is good. I wasn't too concerned with Jerome Ford. He did end up back in the game for at least one more carry after the injury. And so, that's certainly a positive for Jerome Ford. Browns, keep in mind, Rodney McLeod's already gone. Juan Thornhill banged up. Grant Delpit banged up, even though we did get the good news today, of course, of Grant Delpit. Contract extension, 3 years, $36 million, $23 million guaranteed. I have no issues with Grant Delpit's contract extension. Of course, salary cap always expected to go up. There was supposed to be kind of a barometer of where that number was going to be for 2024 given this week. That's been pulled back. But look, the NFL is not hurting for money. You start adding games on Black Friday, the Amazon package, that's only going to go up. Grant Delpit gets, in my opinion, a certainly deserved contract extension. It'll be him and Juan Thornhill under contract for at least 2 more seasons. So for, Grant, this was, and I even remember, and I actually still remember talking about this with Pete Smith in an episode during that draft cycle. We had a lot of time on our hands, folks. It was prime COVID. We had nothing to do. So we were just pumping out draft content. And the name came up of Grant Delpit and Pete, this would be a great pick for the Browns in the second round. Yeah, I'll be honest. If you remember, if anybody heard it, I'm like, what makes you think Grant Delpit is going to be available? And then all of a sudden, we got to the end of round one. Grant Delpit didn't go. Got to round two. The names started trickling off the board. And then all of a sudden, there it was. Double deuce, Grant Delpit, safety, LSU, drafted by the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, the rookie year, a wash. Hurt very, very early in training camp, the COVID training camp. If you remember, we used to have those episodes on YouTube every day. Nathan Segura, Joshua Cribbs sitting there at the desk right by practice fields. So we obviously got a ton of training camp information there. And Grant, unfortunately, the Achilles blew. They were using him everywhere in that training camp. They were lining up by the line of scrimmage. He was lining up as a nickel corner. He was lining up as on the roof safety. Never got to see it. Never got to see the fruition of it. Year two started slow, ended strong. Year three started slow, ended strong. Year four started really, really good. And there's been some really, really good Grant Delpit this year. If you want to nitpick and find a couple of negatives, that's fine. It's not the style I go with, of course, as you guys know. Grant Delpit, an integral piece of this team for the last few years, certainly going to be an integral piece of this defense going further. Browns are going to have a lot of guys, a lot of impact players under contract for the foreseeable future on that defensive side of the ball. So Jim Schwartz, if he chooses to remain here, if he doesn't go for an opportunity maybe to be a head coach, and I'm not sure that's something that Jim's maybe looking for at this part of his life, he's still got a lot of his crew here. He's got to have a lot of boys here for the next few seasons. So, obviously, big congratulations to Grant Delpit. In my opinion, again, well-deserved, well-earned. So Grant Delpit, double deuce, could be rocking and rolling here for your Cleveland Browns for more seasons to come. PJ Walker cleared waivers today. PJ Walker, as rumors are, will be coming back to the Browns practice squad. Then we'll get to that in segment 3. So then technically the Browns will have 2 quarterbacks on the practice squad. But PJ Walker, obviously nobody will ever forget the start against the San Francisco 49ers. Nobody will ever forget the drive to get the game-winning win in Indianapolis against the Colts. So PJ Walker gets to continue a ride here, and he's been here for almost the entire season, of course. Came in late in the summer. But for PJ Walker, good guy to have here. And, he can sit with DTR. They can work with Joe in any capacity. Joe feels he needs the assistance, as Joe Flacco has obviously been named your starter here for the remaining part of the 2023 regular season and beyond for the Cleveland Browns. Don't listen to any of these stupid media members. Joe Flacco is not going anywhere. Joe Flacco will remain here with the Cleveland Browns as their starting quarterback. We got a lot to cover here. Monday Aftermath, your latest Locked On Browns. Appreciate you all for being along for the ride. Stick around. But now, a word from Gametime. If you're like me and you're always struggling because you have teenage daughters, you don't know what the best gift is for them. Luckily, there's one thing that I always know is a hit for my daughters. Them, my wife, they love to go see live music. So you shouldn't have to worry about why you're buying tickets to your next big event. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. It's easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. They have the lowest price guarantee. They have event cancellation protection. God, they got job loss protection. This is a company that looks out for you. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total upfront, so you know you're getting a great deal without hidden fees. Buy tickets in seconds, 2 taps, and you are good to go. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsorship deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you pick the section and Gametime will pick the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKDOWNNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account. Redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Jeff Lloyd, your Monday Aftermath episode of Locked On Browns. The terrible news, the highlight news of the Cleveland Browns today. Dawand Jones, the tweak. Friday, obviously turned out to be much more significant than that, as Dawand Jones is headed for season-ending surgery on his knee, which was at a bright spot. Certainly, probably most likely the Browns' offensive rookie of the year. Most likely the Browns' rookie of the year. Dawand Jones had a masterful first year with the Cleveland Browns. Sadly, it's coming to an end early. The young man's going to have to go through the rehab process. Maybe get to spend some time with Jack Conklin, pick each other's brains here, but tough day for Dawand Jones. Talking a little bit about the defense. Now, we mentioned Juan Thornhill, Grant Delpit, both leaving yesterday's game, got Ronnie Hickman into the fold. Ronnie Hickman combining with Cam Mitchell, the two former Big Ten players, Northwestern, Ohio State, combined for one of the biggest pass breakups in that game yesterday. Huge play at the time. Ronnie Hickman, it's not like Ronnie Hickman's should be a shock to these type of moments. Yes, he was an undrafted free agent. Normally, you don't get many undrafted free agents from Ohio State and, of course, from the state of New Jersey. Funny story, Ronnie Hickman and his high school and my alma mater have actually had a battle over the last 3 years for the New Jersey high school to state playoffs in their both divisions. So Ronnie won one, my high school won this year, but Ronnie Hickman, obviously a much bigger role going further here for this team. DeAnthony Bell, certainly a name to go watch here. And DeAnthony, a core special teams player for the Browns, almost had an interception yesterday for Cleveland. Name to not sleep on here. And this may be one that was made a couple of weeks ago by Andrew Berry, and the Browns got him in. Veteran safety Duron Harmon. Former New England Patriot, former, I think, Detroit Lion, former Las Vegas Raider. Duron Harmon's been in the league for a long time. Duron Harmon is a quality football player. Duron Harmon is a quality safety within the NFL. This was a sneaky good get right after the news of McLeod. And this guy, if God forbid, you've got to go a game or two here without Thornhill and Delpit, it's rare that you can come in with a veteran and a pedigree that Duron Harmon has. But this guy could all of a sudden be a big potential player for this Cleveland Browns defense down the stretch. So smart move by Andrew Berry there, getting Duron Harmon into the fold. Myles Garrett, and I there was a lot of talk, obviously, from Denver. Didn't see much. In LA, look, he got after the quarterback. I don't think he was peak Myles, but he still certainly got his pressures in. I think what you saw yesterday was Myles a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more understanding, maybe regaining some strength in that shoulder, but a little bit more understanding of just what he is able to do with whatever limitations he has. And no, they're not turning into sacks. And look, that's okay. And if it's not Defensive Player of the Year, you hate it for Myles because it always seems he's on this path and then something happens. Of course, a couple of years ago, we won't talk about that Thursday night game, but he kind of did that one to himself. But hey, if it's being banged up and he just ain't got all of it, personal accolades are fantastic. But if you told Myles Garrett right now, you can win Defensive Player of the Year this year, or you could win a playoff game, maybe two, I think Myles Garrett's going to take the playoff wins, or at least take the opportunities to compete in the playoffs. But you see Myles starting to get more back into it, get more amped back up, being more productive. So whatever it is with the shoulder, it seems like, Myles is finding his way through it, fighting his way through it, certainly doing whatever he needs to do rehab wise, to get himself out there to be, at least the best version currently of Myles Garrett that he possibly can be with 4 regular seasons to go. Number 95 is certainly something that's going to be relied upon. The word from Coach Stefanski on Denzel Ward, I think they just felt he wasn't there yet. It's kind of the way I felt. I heard it from Coach Stefanski's voice. It's just, and yeah, I've said this before and I'll say it again. And I always remember, years of the Yankee dynasties, and Joe Torre would have somebody dinged up, whether it was a Derek Jeter, whether it was any other star, and they would come up to him after a couple of days, maybe where they were, dinged up, didn't play, and Skip, I'm good, I'm ready to go. And Joe Torre's response in almost all of those scenarios was, "That's great. I'll put you in the lineup tomorrow. What's one more day?" So if it's one more week, and look, you saw the way the young corners played yesterday. Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson Jr. combined for 7 pass breakups, combined for 3 interceptions yesterday. It was a gamble. It worked. And, as great of a player as Denzel Ward is important and vital and crucial in all of the superlatives you can put on him, they got away with it. And what does that give you? It gives you another week where Denzel can get more confidence in that shoulder, get more physical therapy in that shoulder, get more range of motion within that shoulder. So the Browns, even though they played it cautious yesterday with number 21, a smart move, because, Denzel is a big performer for this defense and certainly a big player for this defense. So have the opportunity to have him hopefully come back and even be a little bit higher in the percentage scale of just exactly what he can do for this team certainly will be, integral, as the Browns have 4 regular seasons games left. Nothing goes faster than the NFL regular season, folks. I used to hear it when I was a kid, didn't understand it. And then once you were like wise enough to think about it, y'all remember week 1? I mean, I remember it, but the fact that we're all talking Christmas now and Christmas trees and Christmas presents, absolutely bananas and bonkers. I can't even begin to tell you. Now, the rest of the defense yesterday, and you heard Zadarius Smith talk about it. You heard some others talk about it. And, I had mentioned it, the way Jim Schwartz spoke to the media about how he was dissatisfied with the lack of production from his defensive line, it really got me to thinking. So imagine if, and I felt he came off kind of curt, kind of aggravated when he spoke about that, which is fair. It's his job. It's on him. So obviously, if it's on him and he's got to take, the bullets in front of the media, got to assume he had a long, lengthy chat or several with his guys and said, look, you guys are the paramount of what we do here. You guys are supposed to rattle these quarterbacks. And if you don't hit them, you don't get them on the ground. You're supposed to be in their head. And you're supposed to be having them make mistakes because they are so fearful of what you boys can do. And it certainly came back yesterday. Big Mo Hurst. And I can't stop. I ain't got no belly. I don't have no big belly, but it's just been an absolute joy watching Maurice Hurst go about his business. Ogbo with a sack, of course. Certainly, Zadarius Smith, and this was a guy I pinpointed. There's some guys that needed to kind of step up here a little bit. Anthony Walker, another guy I mentioned, had a really, really nice day yesterday. And if we just want to call this Locked On Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, or we want to take in a couple of minutes of every episode to just give your appreciation of number 6, 8 solo tackles yesterday, tackle for loss. There is just a light inside JOK right now. And you see just where a guy within the NFL just totally feels like that's it. I know who I am. I know what's going on. I've studied my film. And that is the way things are working right now for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He is just such a lit fuse right now. You watch those running plays. You watch those Travis Etienne Wildcat snaps yesterday. JOK is all over it. And you want to talk sideline to sideline movement ability. It is great to see. And JOK, now another guy we talk about his future here with this team. His day is going to come, but Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is going to be a Cleveland Brown, and a damn good one for a very, very long time. We'll keep it moving here. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. Look, this time of year, it's getting cold. The sun comes down earlier. You don't want to leave your house. Hell, I don't want to leave my house. So I got to wait for you to get 50% off up to $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter the code LOCKED23. Subject to change. Terms apply. It's time to pull out your Lucky Charm jersey and order your favorite apps and snacks on DoorDash because it's football season. If you need something because you're having the crew over for game day, or you need something from the food store, also to accommodate the holiday season because you might be having company over as well, you can get it on the app so you can shop everything you need to get game day ready and certainly holiday ready. You can get prepped before the game day or the holiday. You can stock up on your favorite appetizers and order all your tailgate gear on DoorDash. Then get ready to watch the Browns win. Get 50% off up to $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter code LOCKED23. Subject to change. Terms apply. Don't forget to use code LOCK23 for 50% off up to $10 value on your first order when you download DoorDash app and spend $15 or more. Subject to change. Terms apply. We got to get this one going here, folks, because I got dinner on the way myself. Jeff Lloyd, Your latest Locked On Browns Monday aftermath. Cleveland Browns victorious yesterday. PJ Walker back in the fold. To be determined injury status on Grant Delpit, on Juan Thornhill. Jerome Ford, wrist x-rays, negative. Of course, rookie offensive tackle Dawand Jones having a fantastic season. Whatever the tweak was on Friday is now going to lead to season-ending surgery for the big fella. All the best, Dawand. Thanks for everything you did this year. And, of course, PJ Walker. Looks like he will be coming back to the Cleveland Browns on the practice squad. Speaking of practice squad quarterbacks, current quarterback, Joe Flacco, back to the practice squad. All of this is right now is taking advantage of roster gymnastics. The Browns have injured players who aren't playing, Denzel Ward being one of them. You have a player in Dawand Jones. Obviously, he goes to IR. Guess what? That opens up a roster spot. Joe Flacco, and I don't know what these reporters are doing and why they are doing this. And it's always a chance to, hey, can I get a few reads? Can I get a few likes? Can I get a few followers by taking a shot at the Cleveland Browns? Just stop. Just stop. Joe Flacco, and you heard yesterday during the game, nobody contacted him. Nobody wanted to give him a shot. And I'll be honest, I think part of it is I think Joe wanted to be in a certain location. I don't think Joe wanted to be too far away from his home. Yeah, obviously, he talked about his kids coming to the game yesterday. That was really important to him. He was really, really excited at this point in his life. Joe's going to be 39 years old in January. His kids, it's not like you're dragging the babies and, his wife's up changing diapers in the press boxes. His kids can come enjoy it. You got to remember, the last time Joe Flacco was a full starter was 4 seasons ago. Remember the year, Lamar Jackson took over for him. That was 5 seasons ago. 5 seasons ago. That's how long it's been. It's a whole different world for Joe Flacco now as far as, the parent he is, the family man he is. So I'm sure location was huge. He didn't probably want to run out to the West Coast. The other thing is what do you do if you bring in a 38-year Joe Flacco to training camp and you're a team like the Carolina Panthers, where he looks better than Bryce Young? You're a team like Justin Fields, where the Bears, where maybe he looked, going throw for Justin Fields in practice. So it was a real difficult spot. It had to really be a team that needed a quarterback. And the Browns, obviously, that is something that came up for them. Joe has shined. He really has. It looks like Kenny Pickett will not be the Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback this week. If Joe Flacco throws a touchdown pass Sunday against the Bears, Joe Flacco will match in 3 games the amount of touchdown passes that Kenny Pickett threw 12 for the Steelers so far this year. Joe Flacco over 3 bills yesterday. And the thing you're starting to see is him get a little acclimated. The first week in Los Angeles looked pretty good. Keep in mind, really had no idea what was going on. Now he's starting to get a little acclimated. And now you see Kevin Stefanski starting to use Joe Flacco in a way that he thinks is beneficial to Joe and certainly for the Browns offense. That play action, 3rd and 1, first touchdown to Njoku. And the Browns are a heavy running team. Everybody bit it. And guess what? Deep one, touchdown. The second one to Njoku. Browns, again, run a lot. What do the Browns do in some certain key opportunities where they need some short yardage? They run trap. What'd you do? You ran a play action trap pass. Wyatt Teller trapped. Jaguars linebacker, who is trying to become the NFL's leading tackler for a 3rd season in a row, bit it hard. And there was David Njoku wide open, crossing the field, turning up the sidelines, a little for defensive back, and to the house. Number 85 went for a 2nd touchdown yesterday. Couple of deep ball to Elijah Moore, beautiful back shoulder to Amari Cooper. The pressure that led to the rollout. David Njoku was running the short route, then made it look like he was going deep, then opened up for the back shoulder. Joe Flacco hit him. Joe's cooking right now. And to be 38, it might not be realistic to say Joe Flacco could go out there, play 17 games, and then handle a playoff run. It's just being realistic. But getting Joe Flacco in here for week 13, now week 14. And so that would be 6 regular season games, and maybe hopefully 4 playoff games, 10-game season, 38 years old. That's a lot more manageable for a guy who's 38 years old. But this has gone extremely well. He is not going anywhere. Nobody is coming to get him. The Browns will make sure Joe Flacco is financially taken care of. So I don't want to hear all your whining and all the Josh Dobbs talk, blah, 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 blah. Browns made the right move. Browns got the right guy. And right now, Joe Flacco looks excellent for this team. He's bringing in a vertical element to this offense with his arm strength that I have been a naysayer of Coach Stefanski. This is one thing they've never been able to do in Coach Stefanski's time here is throw the ball vertically with consistency. And Joe Flacco is certainly a guy that can do just that for you. Number 15 is here. Number 15 ain't going anywhere. Joe Flacco is your QB1 for the Cleveland Browns. I am Jeff Lloyd. This is now my 7th season with you all, covering the Browns here for Locked On Browns. Love all of you. I love where I work. I ain't going here. I'll be here 70 more years if the good Lord is willing. So I ain't going anywhere. I appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. Of course, if you are not part of the everyday crowd yet, I suggest you become one. And the best way to do that is subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. Right after this, check out Locked On Sports 247. We are running all our Locked On shows there. Simon, just keep going and going and going and going. It is late in the NFL season. I know you're excited about the Cleveland Browns, but maybe you need to start peeking around a little bit at the AFC about some potential opponents for the Browns. Locked On Sports 247 will have all that info for you. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on ELOB. Let's go Browns.